The Boss and the Sauce Show.
Boss and the Sauce Show.
Boss and the Sauce Show.
Boss and the Sauce Show. Here we go.
Yeah, boy. We're back in action, y'all. We made it. It's already going into week 7. We already over the hump right here. We about to be in bowl season before we know it. How you feeling today, Big Ragoo?
I'm doing well, my man. How you doing today, man? I'm doing pretty good.
I was doing okay, so I decided I want to throw a little shot on Marshall in the first quarter, but they stumbled. But now it looks like they're gonna try to jump back on track. But I'm off it. You know, it wasn't one that I got a little DJing today, so I played a little bit. I haven't been playing the baseball like everybody else. I just played a little here and there, but haven't been on it too tough in baseball. But I see all my guys over there, including you, all over the baseball right now too. How's that going?
Yeah, I just took the Dodgers yesterday as my only play, and I kind of like the Phillies, but I laid off of that one. But they wound up coming in. So, and tonight they got the Braves on the rain delay. So, you know, usually when them rain delays, they get off a little slower start. You know, so I hate getting involved with rain delays. So that I got off it right away. So
yeah.
Tonight I didn't do nothing on the Marshall. You know, we went back and forth early in our chat. I know Teece was on the first half, I think. I told him I like the full game look for Marshall. You know, I like the full game look for the Cajuns, and I like the first half for Marshall. So we'll see how that pans out.
Yeah, I don't know how it goes. I mean, I really just couldn't trust the Cajuns with the first-year coach over there, and then Marshall. You're getting them at home off of a bye. But you know what? And we're gonna be getting a lot of teams going off of a bye soon.
Yeah,
I think I'm gonna erase the whole bye theory out because it didn't really make much sense last year. A lot of games the bye didn't matter at all. Teams just came and it seemed like the bye got them too relaxed or not prepared enough. So I think I'm gonna leave that angle alone.
Yeah. Well, you just got to see how teams respond to it too, you know. And they're not going to get a bunch. It's not like they're getting a bye every other week. But when we get into this first game, I'll bring that up. That's a great point. So I'll segue into that whenever you want to get started, my man.
Yep. So not too many coaches got fired over the weekend. That was a good thing. Not too many, but we've been loading up in college football. But Matt Rule did get fired from the NFL, and he's probably on a one-way ticket back to college somewhere with all the jobs that's going to be opening. So another thing I wanted to mention was a lot of these, and I kind of learned this week. A lot of these injuries that we be seeing, you know, these quarterbacks and stuff like that, you know, with the transfer portal, you know, depth is not like it used to be. Like, you know, I was a big person that I didn't really care about injuries as much because there's always a young thirsty guy on the bench ready to come in, but not such in today's market because these players can hop in the portal and move around and they don't have to sit around and be backup or wait for the next man. So just something I kind of heard out there and kind of bit and chewed it, and I said, you know, it makes a lot of sense. And you know, the whole sports betting, the whole game of football, the college football, everything's evolving right now. You know, it's getting further and further away from the old school. So we got to learn to evolve too, I guess, Big Ragoo.
Yeah, it's changed on all fronts. You know, it's, like you said, the portal, the NIL stuff. So, and this is kind of a year that you know, we're getting into the meat and potatoes of the season. Obviously, you know, early on, you know, it's all a guessing game as far as, you know, how they're going to adapt, how they're going to play. Then you get some sample sizes now. I think not a full sample size, but I think we got enough to kind of tell which way these teams are going and how they're going to fare out. You know, if bar the injuries, you know, because we have seen some injuries early on too with some freshmen and like the Texas quarterback and, you know, Oklahoma, you know, they're stumbling real bad right now. You know, Gabriel wasn't looking really, really good. And it's just, you know, a lot of crazy stuff goes on in college. And, you know, we had, like you said, the firing of the Wisconsin coach the week before. And then, you know, so pick up the pieces and move on. That's what we do.
Yeah, because we're on the sports betting end of this. Regardless of how it happens, we're gonna put it all together and figure it out. So the Boston and South Show might not be the place to come to get all your drama and news and what's going on, but we got it. But we over here to give y'all some good picks and some good insight on some sports
We'll
betting.
drop the little nuggets here and there if we know about it. We talk about it,
Absolutely. But speaking of injuries, I'm gonna go first. You went first last week, so I'm gonna go first today. My first game is this Kansas and Oklahoma game. Now, this game right here, it was 8.5. It went up to 9. It was one that kind of jumped off the page for me, just off the fact that I said that Kansas will be our moneymaker on the plus point side of things. But this one right here is a little different because they lost the quarterback on Kansas, Jaden Daniels, last week. But guess what? Dylan Gabriel on Oklahoma side, he's questionable as well. But from capping the teams together, Oklahoma is going through some bad times on defense, which is not really new to us. Lincoln Riley didn't do much defense when he was there neither, so it's not new to us. But it seems like it's getting away from it a little bit. They're allowing 44% on third down. They only have 4 interceptions for the year. They do get after the ball a little bit for the quarterback, and they have 14 sacks. But nothing really great to speak on the defensive side of things. And then the offensive side of the ball, they're just kind of good. They 35% on third down, 215 rushing yards per game, 220 passing yards, pretty balanced on the offensive side. But they only rank 42, they're putting up 30 points a game on the average. So, Oklahoma's been backsliding a little bit lately, and I think that with the new coach in there, we have to take that in consideration. Even the schools always don't expect these guys to produce after the first year. Although sports in general, that's a new thing. Like they want people to produce right away, but not such. Kansas on the head with Lepoid over there. This is his second year over here, and he's put together something a little magical. This team plays at a high level, going from a little bit to a lot of it right now. But this Jaden Daniels, he was a definitely pass and run threat. He's definitely out for this game. So his backup, I forget his name, but his backup came in last week and did fairly well despite his absence. Kind of had pretty much of the same skill set. So I kind of leans towards Kansas plus the point still, being that they may be the one with the quarterback that can handle things. Oklahoma, on the other hand, and they were reaching. They may be caught up in that thing between having those portal players and not having depth at certain positions because or not having talented depth. Let me say because of the portal and stuff like that. So I was leaning Kansas on this one plus the 8.5, but I'm gonna really wait on this one and wait till see what Dylan Gabriel does. Because if Dylan Gabriel comes in, I'm not sure. Not that I don't think Kansas can still win or cover, but I'm not sure that that's where I want to have my money land on. Hopes of the second string quarterback to come in, and he definitely can't do the same job as the first string, but he could do something comparable and also get covered. It's a 22-man sport, 11 on each side. One man go down, that can't rock the whole boat. So I think Kansas still got a chance in that game. I mean, definitely if Daniels was in the game, this line would be something totally different. So the public's going to keep rising the line because they see that star talent missing on this magical team. But I think Kansas might be a spot. But I'm gonna pull the trigger. Moving closer to game time on this one. You got anything on this one, Big Ragoo?
Yeah, I think you got the right idea here. It has to be like a wait and see, definitely a wait and see spot, especially with Jaden going down for Kansas. If anything, Kansas has definitely got all the momentum going their way. They answered the task. Last week was a big game. We're talking about we had College Game Day in Lawrence. That was they answered the questions as far as being able to sit under the bright lights, even though it was a daytime game. Just the national attention, all the media that they were getting, and they've been they've been a hot team, and you were on them way back early on. So credit for you for figuring that portion of it out. And they traveled well. They played on the road. Oklahoma, they started out 3-0, and they've lost their last three to major opponents in the conference. I think let me see who we got here. They lost. Let's see. Well, they got shelled last week. We know that. That would have been. Usually because of the way that they've been playing, that would have been the spotlight game every year. That the Red River game is like the biggest game on that Saturday, but not so much last week. And 0-49, they got beat pretty handily by Texas. And Texas, they were going through their little bit of issues, but I think Texas is going to be all right. TCU took care of business with them, and then Kansas State took care of them also. So, going forward, there's going to be a lot of question marks in Oklahoma, and that's one of those things where the coach, his style of play didn't transition right away, carry over to the team. Like we brought this up in the past, where the offensive coaches show up, they have a better defense. Now you got a defensive coach showing up, and and he did get Gabriel, but right now they're struggling on both sides. So we're going to see how they come out moving forward, and whether they even make a bowl at this point in time. Because right now they're sitting at 3 wins, they got to click 3 more wins off, and they're in the middle of conference play. So we'll see what happens. I doubt they get to compete. Probably Oklahoma State's a better team in Oklahoma this year without question, and they had a nice win this past week too. So that's a team you need to watch going forward. I had them. I was a little leery about laying the early on. The game opened at 9.5, and it closed at 11, and landed on 10, I believe. So that was one that was like real dicey. And then same thing with the totals too. Like if you're gonna bet totals that you like, if you like overs, most guys are going to bet on these big games. They're going to bet the totals up, and there's a few totals that kind of got that way too. Like I think that was one of the games that was 68.5, and it landed on 69, and it closed at 70. So the total and the side could have got middled in that game. So that's just a typical Big 12 game. So this week, who knows what happens with these two teams? But I'm taking your approach. I'm going to sit on the sidelines up until maybe game time. We get some good information, then we'll roll with it. If not, then guess what? Never hurts to pass, my brother. Never hurts to pass.
Never hurts to pass. It never hurts to pass. Let's jump into your first game right here, Big Ragoo. Is this the right one? Temple and UCF going off on Friday?
That goes tomorrow night, I believe.
Oh, Thursday. Okay, Thursday.
I think it's a Thursday night game. That's why I wanted to bring it up. I wanted to give them a little early look on a game that I was possibly looking at. Now we're talking about, you were talking about the buys right early on in the show.
Mm-hmm.
This is really interesting here. So Temple is coming off a 12-day buy, right? And Temple's been one of these teams where, they're 2-3, they're 1-4 to the under, 3-2 on the money, on the ATS. Not a bad look. They have a lot of struggles. Putting points up, but their defense is pretty good. They got a pretty solid defense. Temple does overall. They're a gritty team. They have a hard time taking care of the football though. That's where it's at for Temple. Temple's been struggling holding on to the ball. UCF on the other hand, they got a first-year quarterback. He's a wide receiver. We've talked about him on our show, and we've talked on the Saturday show. John Rice Plumlee, he was a run-first type quarterback, but now he's starting to find a little bit of rhythm. But I want to jump back into this buy situation a little bit. So UCF has played on they played 5 games, and they've been on 4 different days of the week. They started out on a Thursday. That was their first game against SMU, I believe. And I'm sorry, not SMU. I forget the game early on. It was a Thursday game. Then they come back and they play a Friday game. So now they're playing an extra day's rest there. Then they come back and they play on a Saturday game. That's an extra day's rest there. Then they play back-to-back Saturdays. And then they come back and play on a Wednesday because of the hurricane. So they got 12 days off there. And now they're coming back on a Thursday, which is 8 days rest. So, I mean, this team has been getting like extra rest every game almost, with the exception of one, albeit, the hurricane, for them when they played SMU on that beatdown that they had with SMU. So, and this is another team, surprisingly enough. We always equate UCF with the high-scoring offense, but that's kind of changed with Plumlee here because I think with him they were trying to kind of get him into the system, kind of make plays with his legs, and he's got a solid running back from an Alabama transfer. So they're utilizing his legs. The running back from Javon. I'm sorry, the wide not the running back, the wide receiver. Everything was in transition for this team. So I was hitting unders pretty hard with them, and it showed because they were 4-1, and they're 1-4 to the under also. So I've been hitting them pretty good up on the unders with UCF, even though it was a higher score game, and they almost put the game over themselves against SMU that week. But this week, I think we're going to get a whole different look because now in all those games, the totals have been like 50, like mid-50s to high 60s. Now we're looking at a 46. So it's going to get a little dicey here to try to catch an under with UCF here. And the other thing is the number is sitting at 23.5, which is a pretty good number, down from 26, by the way, on the open. So, Temple's been taking a little bit of money. I think the total's pretty much been the same. So, what I'd like to do here is possibly look at if you like UCF, I think you're going to like the over here because I think finally this might be a game where, we might see UCF might be pretty close to not putting the game over themselves, but I can see UCF getting in the 30s in this spot here, like 30, 31, 34 points. The question is Temple going to get 2 touchdowns to put it close, which UCF's defense is pretty good. So even with that lower number, if UCF has a decent game, they could put it over themselves. But if Temple decides to participate in the festivities and take care of the football, I can see this thing sneaking over the total here. I haven't made an official plan on it, but that's what I'm saying. These are 2 under teams where I think the books have kind of caught up to the number, but we might get a sneaky over here in this spot.
I like it, man. It looks like they were able to put up at least 2 touchdowns in every game up until this point. So
yeah,
they could be good for 2.
The thing I like about it is now, and I didn't talk about this, but I brought up the Alabama transfer, Javian Baker. He's sitting on a big game. Plumlee, I think he might do we might get a 300-yard game out of him this game finally. So he's kind of been working the game with his legs, and then he's starting to throw the ball a little bit more now. So I think this might be a good opportunity to kind of not expose Temple's defense because Temple's defense is pretty good, but I think if anything could happen, they might be able to throw the ball on them a little bit. I think they're going to have a tough time running, so I think they might mix it up with the pass. So we might see more of a balanced attack here at a UCF, and like we've seen in the past couple games, especially like in that SMU game where they've kind of put some downfield action. And SMU's defense, with Sonny Dykes going over there, he's all about offense. Selling out the offense. It's going to be a little bit at the time before SMU comes around on the defense. So naturally they took advantage of that there. So, but Temple definitely try to slow the run down. So we might see some bigger plays at the UCF. We like to say we might see Plumlee get 300 yards this game. So I think it's a sneaky over, and I don't know about covering that number, but I like the over. Sneaky over.
I know. For me, in situations like this, it's always a weird outcome when you have such a low number in the total and such a high number in the spread. It kind of makes you wonder, like, how do you get to that total or not get to that total?
Look at the Iowa game. I mean, the Iowa game, it was sitting at 36 last week. And even in the chat, I told Ian, or on the show last week, I said, I got this thing capped in the 20s, and it finished 9-6. I mean, so you think, man, that's a real low number. And here you go, you get a 9-6 finish. So
yeah, so I would be automatically, just the DJ in me probably be leaning at taking the 23 and putting it in my pocket, relying on
Temple on the 23. I wouldn't argue with that look there.
That's a pretty big number this far in the season. I would have to do a little further investigating to see why do they think that number is valid so far in the season. And I've heard some good things about Temple this year, not like in the past. So I would expect some good things from Temple. But let's keep it moving, man. Jump on over to my next game in the Big Ten. Penn State takes on Michigan. It's a big game over there. Michigan's -7. The over and under is set at 51.5. Now, I think this is just my personal opinion, along with some things that I've seen. Is Penn State usually a team that's not very good on the road, but they've kind of changed that narrative this year, and they've been doing a lot better on the road. They even been handling business at home. And Michigan, on the other hand, we've seen this team so spotty for years. Like, we've seen some great Michigan teams lose to some small schools. We've seen some what we thought were going to be great Michigan teams not pan out to be as much as they are right now. But this Michigan team is rolling right here, and they're rolling because they run the ball and they play good defense. And this Penn State team, they're pretty similar to that. They also run the ball and play good defense as well. It is a lot of yards between the two teams, but we are in conference play now. So if you're looking at the numbers, they're compiled with some of the out-of-conference play early in the season. But if you narrow it down to conference play, it'd be something different. We've seen it all last week when some of these teams lined up. This is going to be way more of a grudge match than we think. Both teams are going to be relying on their defense in Michigan and Penn State. So I'm all the way on the under in this one, under 51.5. I don't really got to play on the side. I mean, I would to take the under. I'm kind of leaning on Penn State to play some defense because I know Michigan is going to come out and play some defense. So I should be leaning on Penn State, but I'm going to leave the side alone altogether and watch the game. But I'm going to just watch a nice grudge match and stick with the under right here. You like that one, Big Ragoo?
Yeah, no argument from me on that. The thing about it is, the knock on Penn State's always been, and you brought it up, is that, on the road with Franklin, they haven't been a very good cover team, especially when they go on the road as a favorite. But, I mean, they've done pretty – I think they've been on the road twice, and they've covered twice. Now, the unusual thing is they lost their last two games, or not lost them. They didn't cover the last two games at home going away into this game, but they've been pretty good on the road, shockingly. So, I mean, does that trend continue with here? Michigan has been doing a lot of things right. I like the way that the style of football they're playing. They're playing a real balanced attack of football. They're 4-2 to the number, but they're 0-5-1 to the under. So they haven't played in the over yet. And Penn State's, they're 3-2 with the spread, and they're 5-0 straight up, and they're 3-2 to the over. So when Penn State covers a number, it goes over. So, I mean, this could be one of those spots where either Michigan kind of knocks them dead, or Penn State gets in a little bit of a knockdown drag out here with Michigan here. But I think it's going to be a good game overall. I just think they got a ton of talent on Penn State's side. We'll see what McCarthy, if he can handle the big house, in that spot, which I think he can. I think he's done a nice job, running that Penn State offense. So, I mean, we're looking at 7 points, right? So it's a pretty decent number, in a game like this. I think it opened 7.5. It's ticked down to 7.5, 7. So I think if I get 7.5, I might have to grab Penn State here in this spot if it goes to 7.5. But I'm going to wait because this is going to be one of those games that it's either going to be bet up or the books don't want to mess with it. They'll leave it right at 7 and maybe juice it a little bit. So right now I'm going Penn State small.
I'm hoping they play, each of them play their game. I hope nothing comes out where one jumps out too fast and starts playing chase or nothing like that. I'm just totally relying on both teams squaring up to play the game, bringing the game that they play and playing against each other in that way on that one. But let's move on to this next one with the Shmoo. Back to one of the Big Ragoo's great parts where he has great edge, and that's these military teams. Go ahead and give it to him, Big Ragoo.
Yeah, so Navy has been quietly good on the defensive side, man. I mean, I had him again last week. I sprinkled on him with Tulsa. Not that I would say the wrong team was favored because, Tulsa should have been favored in that role, but I think Navy was definitely the better team going into that game without question. They just have been playing they've been playing some hard knocks football. They and they've been doing it quietly with the defense. And they had an offensive explosion last week against Tulsa. And what's to say about how they played last week, man? Now they got to play a team that's a little more capable offensively. You know, like we just got through talking about, you know, UCF and SMU, but now this almost has a feel defensively like the UCF game, you know, because I think Navy's defense is pretty good, quietly good. But Navy likes to play the unders. But you know, but believe it, they're 2-3 to the under, you know, and they're 2-3 to the on the record, but they're 3-2 ATS. So you know they haven't been winning a lot of games, but they've been playing a lot better now and more recently. So I think if we go back and we look, let's see if we can figure out a Navy score up here. But I'll try to touch on SMU while we're doing that. So SMU. They're offensively, they're defensively challenged, you know. So, and we're looking at a pretty good size number here, you know, 12.5 and 57.5 on the is the numbers I got to work with. But Lavatai, you know, he's thrown now he's got 500 yards with 2 touchdown passes, and what's his name, Fafana? You know about these guys because they're more up. It's not the Air Force. I keep thinking Air Force when I keep thinking about Navy as far as the talent goes. But, you know, they've had a pretty good defense all the way around. They got 14 quarterback sacks so far this year and a pick. So they're starting to bring some pressure up front, you know, which is nice. And I think the main thing with the SMU look here is, are they going to give Mordecai enough time to throw the ball and open up that offense a little bit? But, you know, they're hanging a pretty decent number. I mean, we're talking 2 touchdowns. But SMU, you know, they give the optics of looking like they're scoring a lot of points and doing well. But they're 1-4 to the under. 1-4 to the under. And their record goes as they cover. You know, they're 2-3 straight up, and they're 2-3 ATS. So they're kind of living where they're whether they win or lose. You know, if they win, they cover. If they lose, they don't. So is that one of these spots here where we get SMU to, you know, a big chalk, not a big chalk, but 2 touchdown chalk basically, and they cover the number against a, you know, a pretty decent Navy squad that's playing good at the current moment? Or does, you know, SMU have a really good game here? Or do we put SMU on that upset alert again? And you know, I don't want to say I hate stepping in front of Navy, but they're playing so well right now, and I think, you know, they're probably the better gambling team, should I say, for the gamblers. Not maybe not best to win the game outright, but, you know, as we go to the window and we take the points or we lay the points, I would almost have to say this is a spot that we can get behind Navy again. And until I lose, give me Navy, baby, Navy.
Uh-oh. Hey, I'm going to fall out of this race because I said after Navy played Air Force, we'd never see Navy play the defense at the level that they played against Air Force. And here they are. They are playing at that same level last week, and I'm pretty sure that's going to carry over and keep going for them. So I don't know where to score Navy right now. You know, I'm used to capping Navy as a really poor team overall, and this year it looks like we on to something different. So I'm gonna stick with you, Big Ragoo, and take whatever you take because I'm not jumping in front of Navy no more.
Yeah. Well, you know, here's the thing. SMU is, like I say, 1-4 to the under. So maybe we lean under too. And if SMU, if you like SMU, you got to like the over here. That's all I got to say. But if you like Navy, I think it correlates to the under. And I don't see, but unless Navy decides to destroy SMU like they did Tulsa, which I don't see them coming that strong again. But hey, you never know. They might be sitting on another big game. You know, they got a lot of confidence coming in. And the American, the AAC, you know, just, you know, with this SMU team, you know, they haven't had a lot of tough looks, but you know that UCF thing really opened my eyes with SMU on their defense. So Navy's probably going to go to school on that and take advantage of them.
That's right. Well, let me jump on over into the next one. Louisiana Tech versus North Texas. This is I wouldn't say battle of the bums. These both of these teams had some good highlights, but overall they're not where they want to be. Um, North Texas is 3-2, and La Tech is 2-3. But La Tech is 3-2 on ATS, and North Texas is 3-2 ATS as well. But this is one of my numbers. Look right here, something similar to what I did with Buffalo last week. And this is two upside down teams. A game I probably shouldn't be doing too much with right here, but I got a pretty keen look with North Texas at home. There was a big discrepancy in the amount of passing yards that they allow at home versus on the road. So looks like North Texas is gonna play a way tighter game at home opposed to on the road right here. And this La Tech team, they've been doing bad overall. 127th on defense, 86 on offense. Whereas North Texas, they've been doing bad on defense, 114, but pretty decent on offense at number 52 offense. And they're kind of balanced. They got a balanced attack with the run and the pass. They're doing like 190 on the ground, and they're doing 212 in the air. They're 32% on third down, and they're 77% in the red zone. So the offense is really balanced, ready to play. I'm just hoping that the defense plays a little bit better, and that'll get us over the number 7, shall I say, with North Texas minus the 6.5. I'm gonna take it.
Yeah, you like the North Texas. I like North Texas here too. I probably this game wasn't even on my radar until you told me you're going to talk about it. Then I started looking at it. I says, you know what? I didn't know which way you were going to go with it because we're talking about it on the show tonight. But when I was looking at it, I said the total set up pretty high up there. 68.5 and or 68.5, and then the 6.5, which is a kind of I was looking at that. I says, with this North Texas team. They score. They're offensively. Their offense is pretty good. They're 4-2 to the overs, right? They're 4-2 on the spread, 3-3, like you said on the season. And La Tech, they play to the overs too, so that tells me they're going to yield some points or score some points. But to me, the better look here is definitely the North Texas side. I think North Texas' offense is a little more potent than La Tech. I think they bring the heat. I think they bring the points. I think they hit the 40s, and La Tech hits like the high 20s or something like that. So I can see getting close to the total, but man, I think North Texas is the better side here. So no arguing with me there, man. I love that look on North Texas to cover that.
Let's go Texas. That's what I'm talking about. Now next into this one, Big Ragoo's coming out west, y'all. California versus Colorado. Cal minus 14.5. The over-under set at 48. What you got for him, Big Ragoo?
Let me get my notes on this one because I had to dig deep to pull this. Usually, when I get west of the Colorado is when I start digging for fool's gold, as I say. Right? Shit, with these damn Pac-12 teams, man, and sometimes they get my goat pretty good. But as bad as Colorado has been, it's. I say, what? Let's see if we can beat up on them some more here. Let me see if I can find a little nugget, a California gold nugget here to kind of, to dig up and get to the window with. But, Colorado, they've what's his name? He's gone, right? The coach. They 86'd his ass last week. Was it last week or the week before?
Week before.
So they came out. They already played their game. And obviously, they didn't get their, they didn't get to the window. They didn't get their casher. That didn't carry over onto the field for these guys. But Cal's been one of these teams where, they always lived on the defensive side of the ball. And but they're hanging a pretty good size number here with Cal on this spot here, the 14.5 and 48.5. So, you're probably talking about you're probably looking at a Cal team total of probably what 24, 20, 26 points, somewhere in that range. I think they get that all day here. I think as they may struggle just a little bit on the offensive side. I mean, how do you get yourself right? You go play somebody like Colorado that's doing something absolutely wrong. So am I crazy about laying the 14.5? Probably not. I mean, they might wipe the floor with them. They might beat them like 40-7 or something like that, So that's probably a look too. But I'm probably going to be really, really interested here, with the offense to kind of, Plummer to come in there and have a nice 300-yard day and put some points on the board. Will there be a backdoor available? But Cal's defense is pretty good too. So I think you're going to get the best of both worlds with Cal here. I'm not. I wish it was 14. If it was like 13, I'd feel a little more comfortable. Now I'm asking for 3 scores to cover the number here, but I think California can still get there. But I think probably the better look, like if you get Cal like between 24 and 27 points, I think they get that here. I think Cal will get like 4 touchdowns. And if we get the total over 20, like I say, between 24 and 27 points, which I haven't looked up the team total yet because I just brought out my notes on this one, but that's my look here. I kind of like the Cal team total over, and Teece says he likes the full game under. So Teece thinks that Cal is going to just kind of control the game at their pace and not score a ton of points here, or just hold Colorado to like a field goal or a touchdown maybe, and then Cal does the rest on their own. So even if it gets 35, they can win like 28-7 or 28-3 or something like that, 31 to 3, 31-6. Who knows? But that's my look. And Julian agrees with me, right? You like the team total?
Yep.
I agree. That's the look I like too. The team total. I'm going to look it up right now. When you get into the next game, I'm going to bring up the team total. I'm sure the chat's already got it. If anybody's got it in the chat, let us know what the team total is. If it's between 24 and 27, hit that up tonight.
I just want to add, coming from the West Coast, this California team is a lot different than they've been in the past. They actually have offense a lot more than we expected. We already know they play good defense, but they also have very good offense this year. And finally, the book is caught up, and that's why you see that hook on that 14 is because the book is caught up to Cal. That offense is awesome. I think my man Teece in the chat talking about the under. He might be thinking you got the old Cal team that struggles to score, but this is a whole different Cal team. They did it against Notre Dame.
I caught one with Notre Dame. Yeah, I did catch one with Notre Dame. That was my first time I ever bet a Cal team total over was when they played Notre Dame, and I got to the window with it, and I was able to cash it.
Yeah, but that they can score a little bit. Now, Colorado, one thing that I can say about Colorado is that initially in the beginning of the season, I thought that they had enough talent and enough will to get the coach over the hump from him losing his job. But comes to find out that Colorado he didn't recruit well. He don't have the athletes. And that also probably accounts for some of the 14.5 too as well. But I don't know. Teece might be on to something because Colorado may not score much at all. And the game don't even get, even if California blows them out 35-0, it still doesn't go over 48. So I don't know. I think the safest route is the one you going Cal team total over.
Let me put the brakes on it for a minute, okay? Because now we got a little discrepancy here. My book is hanging 31.5 on Cal and 17 on Colorado, and they're both juiced to the under 31.5 minus 120 and 17 minus 120. So now, do I take pause on that play? Say, since I like them so strong, do I back away at 31.5? And we're still talking about Cal, but it's a revamped Cal. So I'm going to have to revisit this one. But now that I look at it, I think Cal's defense is going to shut them out even worse. So I might be on the under 17 for Colorado.
That makes a lot of sense right there. And if we can get some people to get in on there on the other side, we can get it up to 17.5, and it'll look real nice.
Yeah.
Expecting 3 touchdowns. I don't see Colorado scoring 3 touchdowns, though.
Yeah, I didn't look at the team totals early on, but I think they go away by margin too. So I mean, the way they're pricing it, they're kind of telling you that that's the way they think it's going to happen. But one or two things is going to happen. Either they're going to blow them into orbit and cover that number pretty convincingly, or they're going to blow them in orbit and cover the number convincingly.
Yeah, I think Colorado minus the points might be the thing. The half on the 14 kind of shakes up the bettors. You got to always remember the book is always looking to get a 50-50 on both sides. So they drawing bettors in right there when they probably know in real life that California is going to T-roll through these guys. but I would lean with taking California. But let's move over to the next one right here. This one I kind of deal with the numbers. These are two really bad teams as well. Both of them are very upside down. I initially started looking at this game, and I was feeling Southern Miss was a spot for them. But after capping it a little further, I kind of like Arkansas State plus the points on this side. It even went up some, so I mean they're betting against me, but that's usually where I do my best work when they're betting against me. So I kind of like Arkansas State right here on the road. But I do like the over in this one right here. I like the over because Southern Mississippi, they're giving up 42% on third down to opponents. They're only converting 33% on offense, and they're only 45% in the red zone. That was a real discrepancy for me of 45% in the red zone. I'm not sure how do we get to that point. They're 2-3 in the overall, 0-1 in the conference. They're 4-1 ATS though, and they're also 3-2 to the over right there. Whereas Arkansas State, even though they're a run first team, they're 5-1 ATS, 4-2 to the over. They're 2-4 overall, but they are 1-2 in conference. So a conference win right here for this team against the Southern Miss team, who's failing on defense and also failing on offense. They're number 112 on offense. They're number 74 on defense, but it's only because despite giving up 27 points a game, they only allow 420 yards, but they're giving up 181 on the ground and 238 in the air. So it doesn't make much sense right there. But like I said, the critical part about that is they're giving opponents 42% on third down, which could be problems, especially against a team like Arkansas State, who was kind of rooted in the run upon the coach Butch Jones coming over here. But with Joseph Blackman over there, they've been doing a lot more passing and moving the ball down the field, 256 yards a game worth of it, which is a big difference. So maybe they're just having to change the culture from going from the run to the pass. But I think this is a really good spot for Arkansas State, plus the 4 points, and I'm also taking the over 55 in this one.
Yeah, Blackman's been there for a little bit now, and with the coach change, so he's the old FSU guy back in the day when Taggart was there, like with Taggart's last year. But he's done some good things over there. He's not lighting up. He's not killing. His first year there, when he transferred, it wasn't stellar. But this year he's actually having a pretty decent year. He's got like 1,500 yards passing. He's only thrown one pick. I guess that came against James Madison. We all know the story about James Madison. James Madison's a real deal, that team coming over from FCS. And then Southern Miss, their marquee player is going to be Frank Gore Jr. So that whole offense runs through him. But if you've been backing both of these teams, this is a tough one here. I mean, 4-1 ATS Southern Miss, 5-1 ATS Arkansas, even with a losing record, 2-4. So if you've been back in Arkansas State, you've been making money in a losing effort, so that speaks volumes. And they played to the over a little bit, 4-2 and SMU too. Southern Miss. So 55 it's not the best number to try to, it's not the worst number to try to go over, but some of these middle 50s numbers can get tricky here. And I think with Ark State, allowing about 31 points a game, and the other team about 27. I mean, the books have got this like right smack in the middle. I think they're really sharp on this game here with the number and the total. So I'm gonna pass, and I'm gonna cheer you on this one.
Let's go. Let's get it. Ain't no thing but a chicken wing. But let's jump into your last game right here. NC State versus Syracuse. Syracuse minus 3.5. The over-under is 43. I'm not sure about the quarterback name for NC State, but I heard he's maybe questionable for this game.
Yeah, is it Schrader? Schrader, is he questionable?
Don't tell me. I think that guy's questionable. I think he went out sometime in the last game. I'm not sure.
Oh, I'm sorry. You talk about NC State. Yeah, you talk about the NC State quarterback is out. Yeah, I don't think he's going to be playing as far as I know. Yeah, Devin Leary. He got hurt in that FSU game. He got hurt. That was a game I was throwing up watching that game, man. FSU was kicking the shit out of them. the first half, and then, I mean, kudos to the coaching job that the NC State did with that defense in the second half, and then some of the stupid play calling that FSU did in the second half too was kind of boneheaded. But I told my son that's the youngness of the coach, stepping into the big time. But yeah, NC State's a good football squad without question. And how about this Syracuse man sitting at 5-0, 4-1 ATS, and going up to what I still call it the Carrier Dome up there at upstate New York. That's a tough place to go in and play, and with the injuries and NC State being a higher ranked team catching points, and we all know the reason why, because of the quarterback situation there. You can't discount Syracuse, but they have him listed as questionable right now, so he's not ruled out 100%. But this is one you're definitely going to have to wait and see, the status of the quarterback at NC State, because that's what makes that offense go. So I would think, both of these teams. I think Syracuse is definitely a live dog here, but especially if they're the favorite. They're not. Syracuse is the favorite. I would say if NC State, if you had good information and Leary was going to play, I would jump all over NC State taking the points. If the number's still hanging around, like, especially better than a field goal with NC State and Leary, because they can play. They've got the best. I think what is the best middle linebackers in the college game. That they're all over the place. They fly around the ball. They make plays. Schrader's a gamer for Syracuse. He can make the plays. He's that guy he's a clutch player down the stretch. He's been there. Surprised a lot of people. But the NC State, the pass rush is not there for them, but the linebacker play is. So they have the front. They have the capability of stopping and run big time. It's just that the pass rush, it's just not there for them. But they make the plays, but they just don't. They usually don't get to the quarterback, and that's what drove me nuts last week, because they were in the second half, they were all over the quarterback. So they did a good job, showing up for that. But I would think, if like I said, if Leary's playing and he's good to go, I would catch the points with NC State here, because I think it's going to be a great game to watch. This is a game you guys want to watch for sure. It's going to be a good football game here. So we'll see how they bounce back. And that's a quality win they got against FSU, and they move forward. Now, if Syracuse makes some noise here and beats NC State, look out, Clemson. That's all I got to say, because we all know about Syracuse and Clemson history, right? We know what happened in the past. Last year, I think they bounced back a little bit. Clemson did, but the prior 2 years, Syracuse, no one's ever talking about Syracuse, winning the ACC anymore. That's like a non-issue. But now, if they beat NC State, you got to definitely put them on the radar, sitting at 6-0. And sometime they got to meet up with Clemson. I don't know if it's later in the season or if it's something they're going to meet up, possibly in the playoff scenario. Not a playoff, but a championship type thing.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, Syracuse is a nice dark horse over there, and looks like Syracuse has been playing a lot of defense, especially with the number being so low, with them being at home. They play on that carpet. That carpet's pretty fast. It usually yields a lot of points, but with the number down at 43, you almost got to lean to the under. Really, to tell you the truth. But I haven't gave y'all no Mountain West. Last but not least, I got to give y'all some Mountain West.
You got to drop some Mountain West, man. Come on, that's where you do it the best, brother.
Man, I last week wasn't the greatest week in Mountain West for me. Some teams came out and just showed a whole nother color, especially Nevada, Boise State. I didn't think Boise State would do as good as they did last week. But impressive enough, the San Jose State team kind of leads the pack and being one of the best teams. I already think a lot about the coach right there. I think he's a great coach. And he's going up against Tedford, who I said early in the season, I guess it worked a lot better than I thought it was going to work. I thought it would just be a little effect. But Fresno State is now 1-4. And, Jeff Tedford coming over to take over for Kalen DeBoer, coming back to a school can always be an issue. But who seamlessly takes over somebody else's teams and just take them right to success? You have to be a real great to seamlessly come in on a squad that fell short last year, as a matter of fact. and just come in and lead them back to the promised land. Lost quite a bit of athletes in it as well. Not working out for Jeff Teffer at Fresno State. And this backup quarterback Fife that they put in there, he just can't do anything straight. 0 touchdowns with 4 interceptions is what he's at. So he's still feeling his way through there. So he's probably the only thing that could probably stop the San Jose State team from winning. But this is actually a rivalry game. The Battle of the Valley right here has a trophy and everything. San Jose State's reached out and beat Fresno State plenty of times, so it's no one-sided show right here. And Brenner's been doing really good. I mean, with his record, he's 2-0 in the conference, 4-1 overall. He looks like he's leading the Mountain West again. Could go in for his second Mountain West title at the rate that they go in. So if he gets these guys gassed up, they have a really solid defense. They got Cordero that transferred over from Hawaii. He's doing really good at the quarterback. He started off slow, but he's developed into the guy that we know him to be. He's ran the ball on the ground 60 times for 186 yards and 6 TDs. He's thrown for 6 TDs, and he has 0 interceptions. So Cordero's doing great over here at San Jose State. This is a rival game. I do expect Fresno State to resist at that, but at some point I think San Diego State's just a little more mature, a lot more stronger, a lot together. Gonna take them to the bridge this year, and they should cover that spread right there. But also, I like the under a lot in this game as well because of San Jose's tight defense. Although Fresno's they can throw pretty well. We thought they could run with Mims, but Mims ain't doing much right now. So San Jose should slow them down a lot. Pretty much forced them to pass. And at the passing rate, San Jose State is allowing teams 21 pass attempts for 127 yards a game. So the secondary is a lockdown. In college football, you find the secondaries that's locked down, that's good money right there. So despite who they played or, to this point or whatever, they're only allowing 127 yards. They're only allowing 12 points a game or 13 points a game. And they're just doing great. They could do a little better on turnovers, though. They only have 6 interceptions for the year and 9 sacks. So not much pressure. This Fife guy, he's just doing bad. That should allow, they should win in the trenches in this game. And San Jose State should win this game. And this one stays under the total as well.
Yeah, these are – I remember these classic games from years gone by, always a defensive type of game with these guys. But hey, like you said, San Jose is in lockdown mode right now. 4-1, straight up in ATS, 1-4 to the unders. 4 games to the unders, and I mean, I'm not the Mountain West expert you are, but I just know this. I know Fresno's got some struggles right now, and San Jose's. I think they're playing with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder because of last year. I mean, we know Air Force was probably the better team, and then Utah State snuck up there and bit everybody, But this is a team that's on a mission. It looks like right now, and they're rolling. So, what do you think about the number? I think the number's kind of crept up, though. You think they cover that number by margin, or you think it's going to be a close one?
No, I think this one can actually get away, even though, in rival games, you kind of usually want to take the points. But I don't know. I think Fresno State is having a bad year that might even go worse. I mean, Kalen DeBoer is doing good up there at Washington. I mean, I'm sure some of these players are going to try to slip out and get up there. I mean, 7 weeks in the season, some of these kids is turning their stuff in and thinking about their options. If you landed at Fresno State, you probably had a good chance to go to a lot of schools right here in California. So I don't know where they're going to go with that one. But yeah, that's it for the ones that we planned. Now I had a big surprise for you, Big Ragoo, because I made a little clip earlier today.
Oh yeah,
and this is a new section of the show. I want to start doing this section of the show every week. These are plays, not so much that we broke them down, but we kind of like them a lot, just kind of looking at them. Any plays that you see on the board, you don't know if you're going to play it or not. you just might have something to play or a small edge on the game that you're looking at going into the weekend. And we're going to call this our shooting from the hip.
That's pretty damn good. Man, that's pretty good. Shooting from the hip, huh?
Where'd you get that hip right now?
Where'd you grab him from?
Oh, I just did the magic with the computer art stuff, man, and put it on there. But I got a couple of them that I'm shooting from the hip, plays that I kind of looked at already, but haven't quite pulled the trigger on them. But I got some type of edge or something on them that I like. And first one is this Auburn and Ole Miss game. I mean, Brady Harsin, he's gonna eventually just die off a little bit as he makes his transition on up out of there. And Ole Miss is there to give it to him. Ole Miss picked it up a little bit more on offense last week, and going into this game, I think that they get things back to the lane train way. And then also I have the Washington State-Oregon game. Now, if the quarterback for Washington State-Oregon State. The quarterback for Oregon State, Nolan, he's questionable. If he comes back, we know that Oregon State is already a team that plays really well at home. If they get that quarterback back versus this Washington State team, they definitely take care of business at home after some of these great efforts that they put together against some of these other teams. The other one that I seen was Maryland and Indiana. I kind of like Maryland over Indiana. Indiana kind of stunk up the field a little bit last week, and I don't really see them recovering that. Whereas Maryland is kind of on the upslope right here. I just kind of feel Maryland coming in that spot right there. And I think I got one more. Oh, also I capped this one a little bit, but I didn't do too much with it, and it's one of my plays with the numbers, and that's jumping back, fading Bowling Green. You got Bowling Green, well, not so much fading Bowling Green, but the over in the Bowling Green and Miami, Ohio game. I think they underrated Miami, Ohio a little bit. They still a little overrated this Bowling Green team. But in this game right here, because of Miami, Ohio's defense, I think Bowling Green does get loose and score a few points, and it's a pretty low total, and I think we get over that at 47.5. And last but not least, I kind of like the Illinois-Minnesota game. It's going to be a great game for the Big Ten. But the problem with that game is Illinois has the top defense, and Minnesota has the top offense. And, you can't really tell which one is going to evolve in these situations. Although it's a great angle, like it's going to go haywire either way. But I don't know what side I like what they doing at Illinois. They slowing it down. They playing good defense. But then I like what they doing at Minnesota with Fleck. They really getting after teams scoring, and they playing a little bit of defense too. But they kind of more offensive loaded. So those is all mines. Shooting from the hip. Let me run that clip back for you, Big Ragoo. Let me let you get your clip together.
Let me load my gun up. Go ahead while that guy's loading his up. I want to load mine up.
Yeah, go ahead and load yours.
I'm gonna load my finger up, I should say, not my. I'm gonna come right from the hip, from way back down here, man. Bam!
There you go.
All right, so I'm gonna start where you left off on that the Illinois game, because that was a game I kind of was looking at earlier, and I didn't really didn't come up with anything really solid on it. But one thing I do know, like to your point, that you have the top defense and the top offense in the Big 12, and now those numbers are going to start to skew a little bit because they're out of the cupcake leagues and all that garbage, So, but I do know this: I know Illinois has been playing some really good football, and they really haven't hit a big hiccup. I know Minnesota kind of hit a little bump in the road, but I just like catching points. When I got a team that's playing pretty good defense, or when a team's playing pretty good offense, and I can catch points with them. But that's not really the case with Minnesota. I mean, with Illinois. But I like a lot of the things that Illinois is doing. They're playing typical Big Ten football, and they're catching points. and they're playing at home, I believe, in that spot, right? And they're catching points. That I like. I like that look on Illinois getting the points at home. I'm gonna put Minnesota on upset alert here because Bielema's going to have the troops ready. These are two motivational type coaches, that kind of rally troops. But I think if Illinois goes down early, I would look to maybe bet them live, because you might even get a 2-score spot. So right now it's sitting at 6.5. But just in case maybe the game gets away from them just a little bit early, I maybe look to bet Illinois live at a bigger plus number in that spot there. Then let's scroll up the list here. I'm not going to get involved too much with my boys up in Tallahassee this week because, I think they're looking – the problem with the FSU Clemson game is, like I said, even when they played Wake Forest, I said they got to play Wake Forest, they got to play NC State, and they got to play Clemson back-to-back. Those are all top-tier ranked teams, top 15 teams going in, and I knew if FSU won one of them, they would kind of creep back in the top 25, but they didn't. So this could be a rough spot for FSU. This could be, I'm not going to say get ugly, but I'm surprised the line's only 3.5. Just from the outside looking in, I would have to lean Clemson in that spot. Just like I told you last week, I'll lean NC State. I would have put my money if I was gambling. I would bet them. I just have a hard time betting against FSU. It's just something that's stuck in my brain, I guess. I can't get it out of I can't get it through my veins. I can't get that nasty blood out of my veins to do that. So we talked about the Syracuse game. Here's an interesting game here, LSU and Fordham. So now you got two teams here that are kind of philandering a little bit. I was on LSU, I believe, last week. They let me down a little bit, or it might have been a week before. But anyways, these two teams are evenly matched, I think, talent-wise. You got two quarterbacks. You got Daniels and you got Richardson. You got some of the inconsistencies. They present themselves, similar style play. They're out of the pocket, mobile quarterbacks, that can tuck it, run down the field, make it happen with their legs. You got Florida on the defensive line is pretty good. LSU is pretty good defensively against the pass. So, you got neutralizing factors there. So it's both of these games are going to be put on the quarterbacks, the back of the quarterback. And I just think with the 2.5, I would have to lean Florida here because they're playing in the swamp. And that's always just like if you played in Baton Rouge at nighttime, the swamp is a thing. I don't care what anybody says. Even though Florida's inconsistency present themselves time and time again, when they play right, they play good. So this, just because of the number, the 2.5 is real enticing to me here to maybe lay that with the Gators at home, and then I'll find one more spot here, and then we'll say goodnight to everybody. Let's see, Buffalo, maybe we talked about that one. That's it, man. That's primarily. Let's see if I can get us on a total with something. How about this Duke North Carolina game? So North Carolina went in and they took care of Miami, right? That was my best bet of the week was Miami, you motherfucker. Excuse my language. You took us down 3 points. You come off a bye, and that's you shit all over yourself. Shame on you, Miami. You won't get another penny of my money this season. But, hey, now Duke, Duke's not an across-town rival, but Duke's one of these teams where Elko's been coaching that team up. They've been playing good. Are they ready for prime time? I didn't think they were, but I think they can hang with North Carolina here. I think they could trade touchdowns with them. North Carolina, I think what ails them is going to make them better in the long run. The defense of North Carolina. I think Duke can play a little bit of defense too. So I still think we see a lot of points here. The total sitting at 67. I kind of think we see a shootout here in North Carolina. Up at Blue Devil Stadium. So look for Duke to not have their way with North Carolina, but I think Duke's offense is better than Miami's at this point in time in the season. And I think we see points there. So I kind of lean over the total with the North Carolina Duke game.
That's it right there, man. So a new segment of the show. Come back next week for this segment for the show because we'll be a little bit more prepared. I was a little more prepared for Big Ragoo. I didn't know. But
I didn't know what he was going to throw at me. So I dodged a couple of them bullets, man. Don't worry about it.
But yeah, man, that's pretty much it for us, man. We thank y'all for tuning in. Look, we got spammed by the adult dating site. That was great. We got to be doing something right to get spam. But appreciate them for stopping in and commenting. I guess it all helps. But that's it for the show right here, man. Boss in the Sauce. Y'all know what to do. Come back and see us next Wednesday, same time, same place, right here, Who-Bangin Sports. Make sure you cash all those tickets. Got anything to tell them, Big Ragoo? See him at the window.
At the window.
See you at the window.
The Boss in the Sauce Show.
Boss in the Sauce Show.
Boss in the Sauce Show.
Boss in the Sauce Show. Here we go.